I caught my wife cheating and she screamed. At least he makes me feel alive. So I calmly packed her bags, called her affair partner to pick her up, changed all the locks in 2 hours, and walked away while she realized no one else would fix the mess she made. That I never thought infidelity would enter my life quietly. I always imagined it would come with flashing neon signs, slammed doors, screaming matches, or some cinematic betrayal where I walk in and everything stops in slow motion. But real betrayal is quieter, smaller, like a tremor right before an earthquake, something only you feel at first. My wife, Lena, had been restless for months. Not unhappy, restless, like a person who constantly checks the time even though they're not late for anything. She'd changed her perfume. She started going out with coworkers on Thursdays. She guarded her phone with a new, tightness in the jaw sort of way. And she kept saying things like, "Do you ever feel like we settled down too young? Don't you ever miss the thrill of the unknown? I just need space to breathe sometimes." It was always ambiguous enough to pass as existential musing, but sharp enough to poke something primal in me. Still, I pushed it aside. We'd been married 5 years. I loved her, really loved her. The quiet, everyday kind. Coffee in the morning, grocery list, inside joke love. I thought that was enough. One night, when she said she was going to a work dinner, something in me clicked. Not suspicion, just a dull ache. So I didn't confront her. I didn't accuse, didn't yell. I simply went to check on the spare garage key, the one she didn't know I still had access to. It was gone. A tremor. I waited until she left, then drove to the restaurant she'd said she was going to. I even went inside. Checked the reservation list. No Lena. No company dinner. By then my chest felt hollow, but I still wasn't angry. It was like watching someone else's life. A slow, sinking acceptance that something was broken. I followed her location, not because I'd planned it, but because months ago she insisted we share them for safety, and I never turned mine off. It led to a small apartment complex on the east side of town. Second floor, Unit 2B. I sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes, engine running, feeling everything go quiet inside me. When I finally walked up the stairs, I heard music and laughter, and then her voice. I didn't barge in. I knocked. Calmly. A man opened the door, shirt half-buttoned. He froze. Lena froze. I froze. 3 statues in a tableau no one wanted to be part of. She burst first. "Wait, wait, this isn't what it looks like." And then, like a person trying to cover 5 lies with one sentence, she blurted out, "It was just a mistake. Then, you don't understand. Then, I'm not in love with him, he just..." And finally, the one that burned through my ribs. "At least he makes me feel alive." The room rang with it. I think even she regretted saying it the moment the words hit the air, but it was too late. Something inside me settled. Not broke, settled. "I see," I said quietly. She looked at me like I was supposed to scream or collapse or argue. But I felt strangely steady, like the ground had stopped shaking. I opened my palm toward her and said, "Then live your best life." She blinked. He blinked. I walked out. The descent down the staircase felt surreal, like each step was carrying me into a different version of my life, one where she no longer existed. I didn't cry, didn't shake, didn't explode. I drove home, walked into our bedroom, pulled out her suitcases, and packed her clothes with methodical calm. Not rushing, not emotional, just completing a task. When everything was packed, I called her affair partner. When he answered, confused, I said, "Can you come pick up Lena's things? I'll leave them outside. She'll need a place to stay tonight." He stuttered. He tried to sound brave. He asked, "Wait, she's moving in." I didn't respond. I hung up. Then I changed the locks. Every door. Every window screen. Garage code too. It took 2 hours total. Lena texted, "I'm coming home to talk. Please don't do anything drastic. We can work through this." "I'm sorry." I didn't reply. When she arrived, she found her suitcases on the porch and the locks changed. She banged on the door, cried, pleaded, swore she didn't mean it. Her affair partner showed up 10 minutes later. He took one look at her bags, turned pale, and said, "I can't do this." And then, unbelievably, he drove away, left her standing in the street, sobbing, dragging her own luggage. I didn't open the door. She tried for an hour. I stayed silent. At midnight, she finally left. That was step one, and the real unraveling was still coming. People think the worst part of infidelity is the moment you discover it. They're wrong. The worst part is the morning after, when the adrenaline is gone and the house feels too clean, too quiet, too hollow. When your brain keeps whispering, did that really happen? Did I really pack her things? Did she really scream that she felt alive with another man? Did he really leave her on the sidewalk? I woke up before the sun. Out of habit, I made 2 cups of coffee. Only when I placed one on the counter did I realize what I was doing. I stared at the steam curling up from the untouched mug and felt something twist inside me. Not grief exactly, but a strange grief-shaped emptiness. That entire day, I didn't talk to anyone. Turned my phone face down. Let the texts come in and roll off me like water. Lena's messages ranged from apologetic to furious to desperate. Please talk to me. You're throwing our marriage away over one mistake. You blindsided me. We can fix this. You're being childish. Please, just answer. I didn't respond. Not out of spite, but because I genuinely had nothing left to say. By evening, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it ring out. Then another. And another. Finally, a voicemail. Hi, this is Mark. I think Lena might show up at your place again. She's really upset. Just be careful. Her affair partner. Not altruistic, scared. He clearly realized he'd poked a beehive and wanted nothing to do with her emotional meltdown. I muted the voicemail halfway through. 2 days later. My mother called. Not with pity, not with judgment, just her usual calm voice. Are you eating? Do you need help with anything? I almost cried right then. I told her the truth, not the humiliating parts, not the blow-by-blow, but enough. She didn't ask for details. She just said, come by when you're ready. We'll make dinner. No pressure, no timeline, just something safe. Before I hung up, she hesitated and added, you know you didn't deserve any of that, right? My throat closed up, because hearing it from someone else made it real. 3 days after, Lena showed up at my job. I saw her through the front windows before she entered. Puffy eyes, messy hair, desperation written across her face. She pushed past the receptionist and came straight to my office like a storm. Talk to me, she begged, shutting the door behind her. I stayed seated. I kept my voice level. There's nothing left to talk about. She started crying immediately, loud, ugly sobs that made my coworkers outside shift uncomfortably. She said everything she thought would work. I made a mistake. I wasn't myself. I felt disconnected. I didn't mean what I said. I didn't think you'd actually leave me. That last one hit me harder than the rest. I asked quietly, what did you expect me to do? She wiped her face and whispered, I thought you'd fight for me. And there it was. The truth behind all of it. She wanted drama. She wanted passion. She wanted proof I couldn't live without her. Instead, she got calm. She got boundaries. She got consequences. And she didn't know how to handle that. I'm not going to fight for someone who threw me away, I said. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. Her voice trembled. So that's it. You're just done. Yes. She shook her head in disbelief, then slid down the wall like her legs had given out. I stood, opened the door, and quietly asked our receptionist to call her a cab. She looked up at me one last time and said, you're not even angry. I said. But now I'm just done. And I meant it. A week later, the twist. I thought that would be the end of it. But endings rarely arrive on time. 1 week later, I was driving home from work when I saw 2 figures sitting on my parents' porch. Lena's parents. And Lena. Her mother was holding her. Her father looked exhausted. Lena was crying into her hands. My stomach dropped. I parked across the street, took a breath, and walked up slowly. Her father stood first. We just want to talk, he said, raising his hands like approaching a wild animal. I kept my tone respectful but firm. What's going on? He sighed heavily. She told us everything. She admitted she cheated. Said she ruined everything. She's been a mess. We're trying to help her. Her mother spoke next, voice cracking. She hasn't eaten. She hasn't slept. She won't leave us alone unless we bring her here. Then Lena lifted her swollen face and whispered, please, please don't leave me like this. Her parents exchanged a look. The kind parents give when they want you to do something kind, even if it hurts you. Her mother stepped closer. She made a mistake. A horrible one. But she loves you. Maybe you could talk? One conversation. I felt a heat rise in my chest. Not anger, not hatred. Just a firm line drawing itself across my heart. I shook my head. I'm not her husband anymore. Whatever she's going through, it's not my responsibility. Her mother looked like I'd struck her. Lena broke down completely, sobbing into her father's coat. Her parents kept apologizing for showing up, for her behavior, for everything. I wasn't cold. I wasn't cruel. But I didn't bend. I told them gently. She needs therapy. She needs family. She needs accountability. She doesn't get to lean on me anymore. And then I walked inside. As the door closed, I heard her sob break into a raw scream. It hurt, but it didn't change my decision. Update. The strangest part of the weeks that followed wasn't the silence between me and Lena. It was the noise around it. People talk. Coworkers whispered. Mutual friends sent vague, thinking of you texts. Her friends, who used to smile at me politely, flooded my phone with paragraphs defending her, criticizing me, or begging me to just hear her out. I didn't entertain any of it. I answered only one message from her closest friend, Mia, a woman who'd always been honest with me, sometimes brutally so. She texted, I'm not defending her. She effed up, but she's spiraling. Be prepared for fallout. I didn't ask what she meant. I already knew. When someone's world collapses, they either rebuild or they start trying to drag others into the ruins with them. A few days later, I learned which route Lena had chosen. It started with a call from HR, a calm voice asking if I could step into the conference room for a conversation. I assumed it was about a project, or maybe someone heard about the situation and crossed a professional line trying to get details. But when I walked in, there was a printed email on the table. Lena had contacted my job. She wrote that she was concerned for my mental health, that I'd been behaving erratically, that after our separation I'd shown unpredictable mood swings. She even suggested they should intervene early before something happens. I stared at the page for a long time, letting the words sink in. Not anger, not shock, just a deep, tired disappointment. HR wasn't accusing me. They were obligated to follow up. And thank God, they approached it with professionalism. They asked gently if I needed support, time off, counseling benefits. I told them the truth. Every detail, calmly, without dramatics. I even showed them the time-stamped messages, the ones where she begged, accused, pleaded, and blamed me in rotations. They asked if I wanted to file a report. I said no. All I wanted was distance. They thanked me for clarifying. They said they'd make a note on file in case things escalated further. I hoped it wouldn't come to that. But 3 days later, it did. This time it wasn't HR. It was a knock on my door at 7:30 in the morning. 2 police officers stood there. Are you Daniel Harper? Yes. We received a call from a woman named Lena Harper. She reported concerns about your well-being. I felt a slow, cold heaviness settle into my stomach. Not fear. Something sharper. I invited them in, explained calmly, showed them the situation, the messages, the evidence. They exchanged looks, professional, neutral, but with that subtle undertone of we see what's happening here. One officer said, just for the record, sir, you seem stable and safe. We'll file this as a welfare check with no concerns. I nodded. They left. I sat on the couch for a long time afterward. I wasn't angry at her for the affair anymore. But this attempt to rewrite the narrative, to paint herself as a victim and me as an unstable villain, this cut deeper than the cheating. And yet, I didn't contact her, didn't send a warning, didn't argue. Silence was the only boundary she couldn't manipulate. The next major development came from an unexpected place, her affair partner. He messaged me out of the blue. We need to talk. I ignored it. He kept texting. She's out of control. She blames me. I can't have her at my place. I told her we're done. Now she's going after everyone. I kept ignoring him. Finally, he wrote. She told her parents that you screamed at her and kicked her out with no warning. They think you're abusing her emotionally. I tried correcting her, but she says she'll fix the story later. There it was. The unraveling I'd been warned about. And it wasn't my job to catch the threads. I blocked him too. 2 days later, my mom called asking if I'd be home that evening. She sounded neutral, careful, like she was trying not to step on thin ice. When I arrived at their house for dinner, she pulled me aside. Lena came here again. My jaw tightened. I asked quietly, what did she say? She cried. A lot. Told us you abandoned her. That you threw her out without letting her get help. That she made a mistake, but you're punishing her like a criminal. My father, never one for emotional subtleties, interjected. She's lying, obviously. My mother shot him a look and continued. She said you were cold and distant, and that you didn't show her affection anymore. She's trying to rewrite the past to make sense of what she did. I asked, did you believe her? My mom shook her head. No, we know you. We know your heart. But she's clinging to anything that makes her feel less guilty. I felt something in me loosen. Not relief, not triumph. Just a quiet exhale that I didn't realize I'd been holding. My mother placed a hand on my arm. She's not well, but her healing isn't your responsibility. I nodded. For the first time, I fully believed it. Lena didn't stop contacting me after that. If anything, the messages intensified. She alternated between, I love you. I hate you. Please talk to me. You ruined everything. We can fix this. I can't live like this. Please. But I held the line. And slowly, very slowly, her messages went from constant to daily to sporadic to silent. The silence was louder than the words and more dangerous because silence from someone who refuses accountability is rarely the end. It's a pause, the kind that comes right before the next wave. Final update. It was nearly midnight when I finally heard the last knock. Not urgent, not demanding, just a tired, hesitant rap. I opened the door. Lena was there, alone this time. Her hair was tangled, eyes red, cheeks streaked with dried tears. She had no bag, no belongings, just herself, standing under the porch light as if trying to shrink into it. I didn't invite her in. I didn't speak. I just watched. She swallowed, took a shaky breath, and whispered, Please, just let me explain. I waited calm. The kind of calm that wasn't anger or forgiveness, just a solid wall of certainty. She started, voice cracking. I was selfish. I hurt you. I hurt myself. I thought I could have everything. Excitement, freedom, love, without facing the truth. She paused. I wanted to feel alive, and I tried to make that your fault too. Her words weren't excuses. They were confessions. Brutal, naked, honest confessions. I nodded once. I know. Her shoulders slumped. I thought if I screamed it, if I made it dramatic, if I forced you to react, maybe it would fix the emptiness inside me. But it didn't. And I can't blame you for leaving. She took another step back, hands trembling. I needed to say it. One last time. And then I'll leave. I felt no triumph. No satisfaction. Just a quiet recognition that some chapters end not with fireworks or vindication, but with clarity. I hear you, I said softly. And you're right. It wasn't my responsibility to carry your choices. It still isn't. Her lips quivered. A single tear rolled down. I thought. I thought you'd come back. That you'd forgive me if I cried enough, begged enough, or made enough promises. I shook my head, gently but firmly. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened. And I can't go back to someone who chose to betray me. Not now, not ever. She nodded slowly, as if accepting the truth she had been avoiding. For the first time, she looked small but unguarded. Not defiant, not entitled, just human. I'm sorry, she whispered again, softer this time, almost a surrender. For everything. I stayed quiet. No words could make it better. Silence was the only honest response. She stepped away, walked to the end of the driveway, and for the first time, didn't look back. Her figure disappeared into the night, and I closed the door. Locked it. Checked it twice. The house felt empty, but not broken. Over the next weeks, life unfolded with a strange, almost imperceptible ease. People stopped asking questions. The messages stopped. The phone calls stopped. The chaos subsided. I didn't celebrate her absence. I didn't rejoice in my freedom. I just lived inside it. I cooked meals. I went to work. I walked the dog. I slept without anxiety. The hollow ache she left behind slowly softened into quiet space. A space where I could think without second-guessing, breathe without fear, and exist without the weight of someone else's lies pressing on my chest. I realized something essential. Trust, once fractured, cannot simply be glued back together. It rebuilds itself slowly, and sometimes it never looks like it once did. But that doesn't mean life stops. It just means you have to learn how to move forward carefully, with your eyes wide open and your heart protected, not hardened, but wiser. Weeks turned into months. I returned to small routines I'd ignored, hobbies I'd abandoned, friends I hadn't seen in too long. I traveled, alone at first, then with people I trusted. I laughed. I read. I slept deeply. I remembered what it felt like to be at peace with myself. And even now, sometimes, I think of her. Not with anger, not with longing, but with clarity. Some people enter your life to stay. Some enter to teach you exactly what you don't need. Some love you only enough to show you the limits of your patience. your dignity, your self-worth. She taught me that. She also taught me that the strongest response isn't revenge. It isn't rage. It isn't screaming or begging or clinging. It's calm. It's boundaries. It's walking away while keeping your own life intact. The hardest lesson isn't letting go of someone who betrayed you. The hardest lesson is learning how to carry yourself after the betrayal without losing your humanity. I did that. I let her live her best life. I lived mine. And somewhere in that quiet space, both of us, separately, were finally free.